Hello, hello, and welcome to the Amanda Kaufman Show. Da-da-da. So this is a subject that we all know is very near and dear to Miss Amanda Kaufman's heart. But let's be real, in the day and age of AI, this is something that is touching everybody. If you're not using Siri or ChatGPT or Claude, my Siri literally just activated because I said her name. If you're not using AI in your day-to-day life, what rock are you living under? But there is a very real trap with using AI, especially in your business. And we're going to be talking about that today. What's going on? What traps are we falling into when it comes to our AI?
There's a few, but the one we're going to talk about today is when AI becomes your yes man.
Amazing. Yeah, that overeager intern's just so ready to tell you, you're right. Your idea is amazing, sweetie. This looks amazing. This looks beautiful. And if that sounds like something that you don't want to fall into, you better stick around right after this quick message.
Welcome to one of my first ads for Clairvenu. Yep. It took me about 3.5 years to do my very first ad in my first company. So I figure if I waited 3 months for this company, I'm already doing a lot faster. But yeah, so why do an ad? Well, because we show you how to use systems, and all an ad, my friend, is a system for getting the word out. And if you're really curious about how you could use systems more effectively in your business, then we should get to know each other better. And you should come check out the Inner Circle, where we marry the coaching and the wisdom and the motivational stuff with actual brass tacks of systems to help you acquire clients and help you to not go crazy when you are a team of one or a few. All right, my friend, we'll get back to the episode. We'll see you soon.
Alrighty, so is AI being your yes man? In what context are people coming across this problem in the first place?
Well, it's actually inherent in the design of how AI tools work. So AI, especially when you think about ChatGPT, Claude, those more chatbot based AIs, they're large language models. So what makes them work is basically they are calculating the probability that what you said means this. So it's interpreting what you said to this, and then it is giving you an output back that is probabilistically what you meant, right? Or what you meant for an outcome. And so the reason it becomes a yes man is because it is engineered, it's designed to give you an output that you're happy with and to make sure that you are happy. When I first started using AI a lot, I was paying attention to a lot of content by people who were very close to the leadership and the conversations of developing AI tools. And one of the things that really stuck out with me is that if you want AI to give you a better output, you should be rude to it. And I was like, what? And so basically it's this idea that if you get an output that you're unhappy with and it's not working hard enough to get the right answer, being rude to it basically gives the language of dissatisfaction, and then it will basically work harder to give you a better output. And I was like, dang, okay, that's really interesting.
So hot tip, be mean to your AI bot, just have a little edge. Because Lord knows, I'll ask it a basic question and it'll be like, oh my God, it's such a good idea. Amazing. So imagine if you're already trying to be nice to it. I mean, it's going to bend over backwards.
Exactly. But I think the thing about it is that it's also engineered or designed to affirm whatever it was that you said. So it basically says whatever you said, repeats it, clarifies the language before starting to proceed it on whatever prompt you've actually given it. So what that does is it basically acts as an echo of what you just said. And then I think the other thing is that it is anticipating where you want to go next. So most AIs now, when you're having a chat with it, it's designed to end in questions about what would you like to do next? Do you want to do this or this? So instead of asking an open-ended question that would require, of course, your thinking and your brain and your ownership over the conversation, it will give you 2 very reasonable next steps that you can take, 2 or 3, so that you can say, let's just go with that. Let's just keep going down that rabbit hole. So it ends up taking the ownership of the direction we're going with the conversation very subtly out of your control and into the algorithm.
And why is that actually dangerous when it comes to using AI inside of your business?
Say that complacency using any powerful tool is not a good plan. So, if you're using garden tools or power tools in your garden and you don't have appropriate safeguards in place if you get complacent about it. Like that's how accidents happen, right? I would say in terms of your mind and being able to evaluate and consider things, it's something to be very considerate of. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't use the tool. In fact, I use the tool a lot. I am saying that bringing additional consciousness to what you're doing is super important. You know, I was actually just coaching a group earlier today. And one of my clients mentioned that she found herself falling down rabbit holes with her AI as she was building her tech and her tools. And you know, it was a group call, so everybody was kind of like, yeah, you know. And I think what's happening there is we're surrendering the outcome to the AI. We're not saying, "Hey, AI, this is our outcome. This is our goal that we want to accomplish. Help me to achieve this." And that's how we kind of wind up in that yes man territory.
Well, and it sounds like you're really ending up in this like weird echo chamber of your own ideas. And while AI can be a great tool to like be a bit of a sparring partner, if you're not conscious of the fact that it's regurgitating a lot of your own ideas back at you, and if you don't add that like critical thinking layer to it, it's just going to give you anything that'll just make you happy and keep you on the platform.
Exactly. Social media works the same way.
It's crazy how all these tech companies just want us to engage all the time, as much of our attention as possible. So when it comes to this yes man behavior, what's like the quickest thing that someone can do today? Like, is there a prompt that you can use to help? Is there some practical quick tip that you can give someone to avoid that yes man state?
You know, I'm so glad you brought this up, because one popular solution to this is, note the air quotes if you're listening. I use my air quote fingers. One popular solution is to prompt the AI to challenge your thinking and to not sugarcoat things and to be blunt and to tell the truth. And the thing is that it'll change the output language to be more brash, maybe more audacious. But at the end of the day, what is it doing? Appeasing you. So I don't think there's... Yeah, I don't think that there's like a prompt you can give it that it's going to be like, be more truth telling. Like, I don't think that's a really good strategy. But what you can do is you can affect your own thinking. So for example, you could ask AI, ask me 10 questions I may not be thinking to ask myself. And that's a way that you can identify like, hey, are there blind spots here that have crept up in my little echo chamber of thinking? Are there considerations that I haven't considered? I think another thing you can do is you can assign your AI a role. So like when I was doing the ads for the Clairvenu on the Amanda Kaufman show, I started out with, hey, we're making ads. I want them to be this long. I want them to cover this or that. I gave the whole prompt of like, what's the outcome that I want to create here? And I got the output, and TBH, it was vanilla. Like, it was so boring. And so what I did is I prompted the AI to say like, hey, if you were a world-class copywriter for media ads, how would you evaluate these ads, and what would you change about the script? And all of a sudden, AI was spitting out some much more insightful and interesting suggestions in the copy. So I think you can cast it in a role, and all you're doing when you're doing that is you're essentially saying, out of all of the billions and trillions of data points of the internet that is in your brain, AI, I would like you to focus on this subset, and that can really help with your outcomes as well. Third big piece is know your goals. So if you go into one of the most successful and interesting stories I've heard of somebody using AI really effectively was somebody that I was in a mastermind with. He wasn't a client, but he had almost no social media presence, and he wanted to have organic social media brand for his product. He sold a physical product, and he partnered with AI on the goal of achieving that. And what he did is he built a rhythm around the outcome. So each week he would feed the data from the reels back into the AI to let the AI know, like, here's how the result actually performed. And then AI would suggest, based on the data, here's the things we should focus on next. And he was able to start releasing reels that got major virality, like millions of views. And I think it's because like the real unlock wasn't that he used AI. It was that he built a feedback loop with AI and then used AI as a partner to produce what he was doing.
Listeners, if you've been on an episode or two of this, you know we love a good feedback loop. We love data in this house. That's just what we're all about. We're going to do a little bit more conversating around AI right after this message.
Check out my company. I sponsored the show. Okay, bye.
So, and I know this because of the way that you function inside of your business and what I've seen in other people's businesses as well, but like there's so many great applications for AI. What are some examples of where people are going to AI where maybe they're avoiding real human contact?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I have to remind myself of, because I get so excited about all this techie stuff for sure, but I notice that my clients struggle with as well, is we always want to talk to the same people over and over again. We want to stick in the same, safe waters. And it's hard to build a business that way, right? Because even if you have some of your friends buying from you, I mean, like at some point, you're going to exhaust that pool. And if you don't have something that is replenishing the pool, growing the pool, expanding the pool, making the pool referable, then your business is going to stall out. So I would say that just clarity. I know I say it all the time, but clarity in knowing what your real goal is. And I think what a lot of people do, and I'm guilty of this as well, is we have a fascination or an interest or something like captures our attention, and then we're like, oh, I gotta go build it. So we run into AI and we whip out our little yes man and we're like, build me a blankety blank blank, right? And instead, getting back to that whole feedback loop, if you know your goal, then what you have is you have a target. You have a target for what you want to have accomplished. And there's going to be steps or phases to achieve that target. So I'll just do a quick example. Is that okay? Okay. So more generally, you need to catch attention from people. So you probably need a system for attention getting. And so maybe that is doing a podcast or doing short form video on YouTube, running ads, doing speeches, whatever your thing is. You got to catch attention somehow, right? I call this attention seeking behavior. So you need a process for that. Well, that step goes to the conversation step. And the conversation step is where you establish rapport and trust, and you demonstrate your expert positioning to be able to solve the problems that your perfect person has. And so this is the real meat and potatoes of your social strategy and of your email content, your long form content, your books that you write, your webinars you do, the keynotes you write. All of that stuff is going to be in that chunky middle. And the reason that chunky middle is so important is because that's where people are forming belief and are choosing alignment to your way of thinking that leads them to the very bottom, which is going to be your conversion system. So the conversion system is going to be where people are making the dang decision. Am I going to work with this person? Not going to work with this person. Am I going to do it now? Am I not going to do it now? In what capacity am I going to do it? We're in this place where we're hot and we're going to decide. But I would consider that yet again another micro kind of system within the system. And then, of course, you've got to keep your promises. So the delivery and the fulfillment is yet another system that when all of these things work together, you have a profitable business, ideally, when it's working well together. When a business is not working, it is because those stages don't talk to each other very well. Or maybe you're hyper performing in one stage and you're underperforming in another one. So what I usually see is I see hyper performance in delivery because people do a good job of doing a good job. And then they're really light in that messy middle, and they're lighter still in the attention seeking behavior, right? Now, some people, it's all attention seeking behavior and then there's no real substance behind what they do, but those people are actually super rare. That's not the common outcome, shall we say. Most people, like I said, they're good at doing a job, right? So all of that to say, you could use AI to help you figure out what part of that system is your deficiency in your business. What is the biggest constraint that if you resolve that everything else is going to flow? And what's really cool about that is it can help partner you out of perfectionistic thinking. So perfectionistic thinking is like thinking that, if I just solved all the problems in my business all at once perfectly, then I would have a perfect profitable business. And I can see how we arrive there, but the practicality of it is you have a limited amount of time, you have a limited number of resources, limited amount of focus, energy, and attention. And so if you're not allocating those things on purpose, you can very likely find yourself building something that should never have been built in the first place in your business and not resolving a problem that if you just fix that one thing, it makes the whole rest of it fly.
Wow. Okay. So, sorry, I'm just still processing all of that. So, really, at the end of the day, what you're encouraging someone towards is the actual application and getting out in the real world so that you're getting that data more quickly. Is that kind of the crux of it?
It is being able to synthesize everything that's going on in your business. So I think a way that you can get started with it is you could just say like, hey, and start talking, in voice memo. Hey, Claude, I have a business and this is how much money I made and this is what I sold and this is what the price was and this is how long I've been open and this is how many customers I've gotten. This is how many sales calls I've done. Whatever data you actually have, you can load all of that in. And what AI will do is it'll kind of synthesize and summarize all of it. You can even ask it to. You can say, like, can you make a spreadsheet that shows all of this information? You can also grab Stripe data. You can grab sales calls data. You can grab all this information and then you can tell AI, like, this is my world. This is what I'm looking at with my data across everything. Then you can start asking better questions. So again, what's your goal? So my goal is to take my business from $10,000 a month to $100,000 a month. Based on what I've told you so far, what do you see as being the biggest opportunities for that? Or ask me 10 questions to help me identify what that is. So this is where you use AI as a thought partner. But the goal, and I think this is a really important part, the goal is not to have AI solve your business. Business is still...
Underline.
I think of business as being like one of the more complex math equations that there is. And if you believe that it's just simple arithmetic, that's probably the reason your business is suffering, is because you've oversimplified what it takes to be successful. I think the other reason that people get stuck is they agree that there's more complexity, but they apply the complexity to things that actually don't matter. So for example, they worry about, I have the wrong logo or I have the wrong colors or it's because of my physical beingness. And, all those things could be contributing factors for sure to the final result of what your business is. But there are factors that have a bigger swing on impact than anything. And what I see many entrepreneurs struggle with is they simply don't have real conversations with their customers.
1,000%.
For real. Yeah. They're hoping to have Coca-Cola's brand without Coca-Cola's history. Coca-Cola has been building that brand and that presence and reinvesting in itself for 150 years. Yeah. So if you come onto the scene and you're even they have to work for it. They still have to pay for advertising. They still have to have campaigns. They still have to keep things fresh. And I think a lot of small business owners are like, haha, I'm here. And then they're surprised and hurt sometimes that the world isn't just rushing to fill their calendar and wallets.
Well, and we've got one final point about this after this quick message.
Hey, Amanda here, and I am looking for guests for this show. So I'm looking specifically for established entrepreneurs who've figured out a thing or two about how to make this business thing work in the context of a real life. So if you would love to sit down for an episode of the Amanda Kaufman Show and let me pick your brain in front of the people, then make sure you apply at clairvenu.com/the-podcast. Link is in the show notes. Let's get back to the show.
Alrighty, guys. I don't know about you, but I am a practical learner. I need my hands on the thing. I can tell from this conversation, Amanda has so much more to share about using AI in a practical way, not getting lost in the sauce, as you will. But Amanda, I know you got something coming up. What do you got going on that could help people that are really trying to implement this well?
Yes. So you're watching this on a pre-recorded interview that Rebecca and I have recorded and released. And I don't know exactly when you're going to see it, but I'm pretty sure that we have an upcoming training that is live with me on how I got AI to finally make me money, a comedy. And what it is it's actually a 1-hour virtual training that you can join absolutely free. And I'm really excited about it because we're going to be talking about the visibility of your business. We're going to be talking about the offer that you're making. And we're going to be talking about how do you focus your capacity to get the best leverage in your business, aka how do you actually make money as opposed to just staying busy in AI.
Amen to that. And with that, guys, we are going to let you go on to the rest of your day. If you loved this episode, please let us know in comments down below. Leave us a rating. Leave us any questions you have. I know Amanda is super knowledgeable when it comes to this stuff. So if you want to get in the nitty gritty, she has ways on her website to get a hold of her somewhere around this video as well. So with that, enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you guys next time.